are back. I'm excited for today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm great. Excited to be back for another fun show. We're going to talk about the NFL draft today. I don't know if there's ever been an NFL draft with this much intrigue.
Back in the 80s when 5 quarterbacks, Montana, was it not Montana? Marino and Ken, there's like the Marino draft, there's like 5 quarterbacks that turned out to be Hall of Famers. That was something.
Yeah. You probably remember that. You're a little older than me. So
barely. I mean, mentally I'm much sharper.
I know. True that. Nice hat, by the way. Is that available in the merch store?
The merch store is not up yet, but if you want to message me, I can find a way to get you guys one.
I mean, I think it's pretty dang incredible. So let's do some shots on goal.
Sure. All right. Well, I just have one. I feel bad for. Well, first of all, I said jump. Wes, our producer, said that his wife and his mother-in-law were out getting their cars Z-barded. It's something they do every year. Now, I don't even know what that is. Well, you remember Rusty Jones? Hello, Rusty Jones. Goodbye, Rusty Cars. Oh my God! All right. Anyway,
oh, really?
Yeah, I just didn't think Z-Bart was something you did on a yearly basis. Maybe it's they told Wes that so that they could go out for drinks. I don't know.
That must be a Northeast thing then.
Yeah, because we have salt on our roads here.
Yep. Yeah, we don't do that down here in Oklahoma.
My shot on goal is I feel bad for Karen McBride. Do you know who Karen McBride is?
I don't. Tell me.
Well, Karen McBride lives in Texas, and she went to renew her driver's license. And turns out she had a felony, a felony embezzlement charge from the state of Oklahoma. 21 years ago, she rented Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Oklahoma's been looking for her ever since. She said that she couldn't remember back 21 years ago, that she doesn't even remember watching the movie. I just want to go on the record that I can't remember what I did 21 minutes ago. So
I did see that. Now, did they arrest her? What happened? I don't even know.
No. I know this is going to sound bizarre, but the video store doesn't exist anymore. Hard to return something. I had heard that she was dating a guy, so she called the guy and asked whether he still had the VHS. Could you put your hands on a VHS right now, other than of your wedding or something like that?
Maybe in the garage in a box, maybe. But
right. So that's my shot on goal. And
well, I've got 2. Fenway is going to 25% occupancy May 10th, I think, which is exciting.
Yep.
The more fans we can get back in the stands, I love it. The Red Sox are playing at Texas this weekend. I talked to my brother today. I said, what do you think about driving down for Saturday or Sunday game? And he said, let me think about it. And so, because in Texas, I think the ballpark is completely wide open, I believe. So we'll see about that. This one, always got something a little off, but shout out to Madonna. She is 62 years old. Her boyfriend's 27. Like, I give it.
Dude, she.
No, hold on. To her boyfriend, ew. Like, ew.
Yeah. All right. So Madonna she has not aged well, right? And I think the most attractive thing to a 20-something-year-old on Madonna is her bank account.
Oh, yeah. Well, I dated Madonna,
Well, so did Jose Canseco.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Right.
Thank you, Mark Gassert, for the share. Appreciate you, my friend. Mark is the man in Peachtree, Georgia. So, but yeah, to her, hey, good for you. Great. To him,
yeah.
No. Yeah. So Chad Chisholm is right. She has always gone for younger guys, and apparently he's a dancer and all that stuff. He's probably super fit and much like me and you. And Chad,
right.
Chad Chisholm's super fit. I've never seen a more fit guy than Chad Chisholm. So I say let's talk about some. Let's get our guys in here. Let's get Dustin in and Patrick in. Let's talk about some NFL draft because I'm kind of excited. I'm a little geeked up for this draft because I think there's a lot of things in play here.
Sure.
So Wes, producer extraordinaire at your parents' house. Let's get these guys on. Dustin Bishop in the house.
Am I supposed to do this?
Dustin is the look at Patrick. He knows.
Am I supposed to do that? Is that
there you go? Patrick knows what's. Oh look.
Oh,
Dustin started to go like EDP out there. Dustin is, if I had to rely on anybody for fantasy football advice, it would be Dustin. He's really good at fantasy, not real life, just fantasy. And Patrick, I've known Patrick for a long time. Patrick, former sports animal host, had his own show for quite a while. I mean, he failed at it miserably, which is why he's not there anymore. Didn't move to someplace bigger, but that's a different story. And I'm kidding, of course. But Patrick is now involved with a company that does security and is going to be doing security for a major golf tournament that we cannot say the name of. In Tulsa,
big golf tournament that's
at
huge.
Southern Hills,
This year
which is
and
cool.
next year.
But let's kick this off and let's talk about draft pick number 1, which we all know Jacksonville is apparently going Trevor Lawrence. And the only negative thing I can say about that is like, dude needs a haircut.
He does. It's stringy.
If he got a haircut though, would it be weird? Would you look at the guy and be like, "Who are you? It's Samson. You can't cut your hair."
But he can't. But he can't. Like, how long
can
he rock that haircut in Jackson? 3 years?
No, he just has to cut the front and just let that back go. You know, in Jacksonville, he can go as long as he wants.
That's true. Jacksonville, that would fit in.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he reminded me of his hair reminded me a little bit of RG3 when he came out because didn't he have the dreads that kind of look wonky and like, dude, cut that off and look like a man and quit trying to look like you were like 20 in college. Like you look like so we all think that's number 1. And I know what you guys already think. We think number 2, Zack Wilson, done deal.
To the
You
Jets.
think?
Dundee.
There's a lot of momentum for it, and frankly, I haven't really heard any of the momentum another way. You haven't heard another name connect. Now, that doesn't always mean, we know media doesn't always get it right, as I know from working there 12 years. But I think at this point, if there was a chance of being somebody else, there'd be another name. Wilson's, and look, he fits the part. He's an athletic guy. I think he'll fits into the Jets motif, if you will, and a good pick for them. They moved on from Sam Darnold.
Does he start next year?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Starts day 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they can utilize him. There's still not a lot of talent around him, but good luck, son.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where it gets interesting to me. So what are we doing? What are we doing at 3? What are the 49ers doing at 3?
The interesting thing about San Francisco to me is this was a team, as we all know, was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They had a rash of injuries last year. I don't think they would have got back, but I think they would have been a better team than what they show. And they traded up to this pick for a reason. So either they saw something they liked, or they feel the quarterback is the way to go. They want to move on from Jimmy. They have an excellent defense. They have excellent skill players, a lot of talent on offense. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuels. George Kittle, if you can ever stay healthy. I know the fantasy guys call him George Brittle. So there's a lot of talent there, and the right guy could be successful. And Trey Lance is the one that's talked there. I've seen Mac Jones talked about there. Justin Fields doesn't seem to be the right fit there, but those are the two guys, and this is where the draft to me will pivot based on what the 49ers do.
Let's throw it out there. Dustin, who do they pick?
I really actually am on the opposite side of Patrick. I really think that it's going to be Justin Fields. I really, really do. I think all this has been smoke screens so far. And I really think that he's an athlete, and him and Kyle Shanahan, I just think that they fit really well especially with all those weapons, like Patrick said.
Wow. Timmy, what do you think?
I think they traded up to 3 to take Mac Jones, but they did that 3 weeks ago, and now they've done a deep dive on Mac Jones. And in the meantime, Trey Lance and Justin Fields' stock has risen. I think they take. I think they take Lance.
I'm not sold on Trey Lance. Dude's like 20 years old, and he played one season a year and a half ago. And like, do you put your franchise on that kid?
I think he looks a lot like Mahomes, back in the when he was a little bit younger.
Looking like Patrick Mahomes and playing like Patrick Mahomes. I'm with Dustin a little bit. I think it's smoke and mirrors. I halfway wonder if they go Justin Fields and they trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Pats or cut him possibly because he's a lot of cash too, a lot of dough.
Yes.
We talked about this before the show started. The interesting part to me is like, here's Jimmy Garoppolo a season ago was this close to winning. If he wins the Super Bowl, we're probably not even having this conversation, are we? Other than he gets hurt. He gets hurt a lot.
This morning in Boston on the talk radio, a sports talk radio, Adam Schefter was on and he said these words: "It's New England or nothing." There's not even any other suitors for him, he said, at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we may not even be a suiter for him.
Right. Well,
I'm on the show.
So, all right. So we've got Patrick thinks.
Well, I think which is strange is we all agree that it's going to be a quarterback.
Right.
And,
right.
Just
again, pick one of the
franchise that I still think fancies itself as a playoff contender.
Yeah.
And do you do that with a rookie quarterback? So that'll be interesting. But they have a ton of talent, explosive talent on offense. Defensively, if they're healthy, they're really good. And again, if they get the right guy, they'll be right there.
So, Patrick, let me ask you this: Do they stick with Garoppolo and have a Steve Young and Montana type situation? Have two really good quarterbacks and he's under contract, or is it just a money thing that they have to unload some cash?
That's a lot of draft capital to put into essentially a backup quarterback. And Garoppolo's not an old cagey veteran that you're saying, oh, let's let a guy sit behind him.
Right.
And again, like I said, they're a team I've always had the philosophy of the 49ers aren't rebuilding. They feel like they're a playoff team. They need to draft a player that helps them win today. If you're the Jets, you're looking for 3-4 years down the road. If you're the 49ers, you think you're in the playoffs next year. You need to be taking players that get you there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
All right, so Tim, gun to your head. Who are you taking if you're the 49ers? Too late. You're dead. Dustin, gun to your head.
Why are you putting gun on my head over that?
I already. He's just wanting to kill me. I already said Trey Lance.
All right, Trey Lance. Dustin?
Fields. Yep.
Patrick? Mac
Trey
Jones.
Lance.
Okay. All right. I don't know who. I think maybe Justin Fields. And the other intriguing thing to me is Mac Jones. Like, here's a dude that just freaking wins football games. Yeah. They're talking about this crazy Super League in soccer, and you want to compete in a Super League? Come play soccer and football at the SEC. This is a kid that does it every day, against the best of the best in practice and on Saturdays, and they're gonna almost just dismiss him like he's not as good, and that amazes me.
Well, there's talk if he fell as far as 15 that Belichick wouldn't take him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to throw this out there at number 4, Atlanta. Kyle Pitts, tight end, done.
Yeah, and it, like, calling Kyle Pitts a tight end is like saying JD Martinez is a below-average outfielder. I mean, it doesn't fit because Kyle Pitts, he's got the size. He's got the speed. I mean, you could put him as an X receiver on the outside, and he could play it.
Yeah.
So, because I'm generally not a fan of drafting a tight end high, just because I think there's value later in the draft generally, but also this guy is not to call him a tight end. I think is a misnomer. Explosive talent. You put him on an offense that already has Calvin Ridley. I think we all agree that Julio Jones is on the way out, but you pair him up with Calvin Ridley. You have two explosive pieces that all of a sudden make Matt Ryan a fantasy relevant quarterback again, maybe.
You know who else is not a tight end is Wes Wyatt, our host. Dustin, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that Kyle Pitts is a lock at 4. I think Julio Jones is still a Falcon this next year. There's no way they're going to get as much value as they perceive that he's worth to get rid of him. If anything, it's going to be a contract thing. And Patrick said it, man. Matt Ryan next year is fantasy gold because he has all of those weapons.
The interesting thing about Matt Ryan is Do you guys realize like what his salary cap hit is?
It's like 40 million.
Yeah, it's like $40 million. So you either keep him or you cut him, and who's going to take him at that? He is such a weird piece to that puzzle for them,
right?
You know,
I would guess, just based on what you're saying, that they would probably restructure it some way so it's not such a cap hit.
Right.
There's they can convert somebody to a signing bonus to give themselves some relief, and I think he'd be open to doing that if he feels like they're a winner.
So we're all saying Kyle. Kyle Pitts at Atlanta.
If they don't trade out, this is a prime spot for a trade out, especially if there's a surprise and one of the quarterbacks is still available. And if somebody loves Trey Lance, and for whatever reason Mac Jones is the pick, I could see a trade coming here. But yeah, if the Falcons use this pick, Kyle Pitts seems to make the most sense.
Dustin, what do you think? You thinking trade here, Dustin?
I think that I didn't put any trades on my top 10. I just didn't.
Too hard to predict.
I really honestly think that there's two teams that are really willing to go up and get somebody. And I think that's the Washington football team. And I also think it's the Patriots. So, I mean, I really think both those guys, if one of those quarterbacks starts falling and they really want a quarterback, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to go to 4. But if one of them starts coming down the board a little bit, they're going to hop up and get this.
Okay. Do you see a quarterback going to 4 to Atlanta? Tim, what do you think?
No, to Atlanta, no. Pitts all the way.
Yeah, if you're Atlanta, I don't think you take a quarterback here. You try to do something to help you win now, even though they're a lot further away from the 49ers.
Right.
I think if you take a quarterback here, then you're moving on from Matt Ryan.
And I agree with Patrick that they'll have to restructure his deal because even if they cut him, the cap hit is still enormous.
Yeah.
All right. Are we all lock at 5 with the Bengals taking Sewell?
No.
That's where I think a lot of the draft diverges. I mean, look, Joe Burrow's knees would love if it was Sewell. But look, Jamar Chase, there's a lot of momentum. Maybe Jalen Waddell. There's a couple guys there. If something screwy happens, I could see it being easily Pitts if Pitts isn't taken for whatever reason. But I definitely think they go offense here, whether it is Sewell or Chase. Sewell has kind of fallen down on draft boards a bit, because again, he's got short arms. I don't know if he has deep pockets, but people don't like his arm length. Yeah, I don't do this for a living, but they say he has too short arms to be a left tackle.
Well, so, Dustin also has short arms. Dustin, what do you think that the Bengals do here?
I'm going with Chase here, honestly. I really think it's going to be Chase, but I just don't see them taking offensive tackle, even though they need it at 5. And the reason being is because the offensive tackle position is so deep in this draft that you can get starting offensive tackle, whether it's on the right or the left side, probably into the 3rd round. So, I mean, you pair him back with his college teammate. He was setting records on that team. I honestly think that that's probably the way that they go. Plus, it's Cincinnati. That's the way they go. You know what I mean? That's just the way they do it.
The Bengals like to screw stuff up. They could draft Britney Spears for all we know.
Well, she likes tigers. I understand.
Yeah, true.
I have them either taking Chase or Smith from Alabama. It's going to be a wide receiver.
All right. Well, here goes the run on wide receivers. Right. Oh, here comes Wes. What's he got? Whoa. Hey. Whoa. He's upside down. But you got a comment there, big boy? We don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't know.
So here goes the run on wideouts. So who is the Dolphins taking? Devontae Smith?
Well, I would say one of the Bama guys, either Smith or Waddell.
And by the way, when did Bama become wide receiver U?
Bama is like everything you.
Yeah. Amari Cooper.
I mean, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Julio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So who we take? Who are the Dolphins taking at 6? Tim, what do you got?
Smith from
Dustin.
Sewell,
Alabama.
Offensive tackle, Sewell.
Patrick.
I think this pick. You're talking about Miami? Yeah, Miami Waddell. I see being a receiver here. Again, this is a Miami team that I think is ready to win, and an explosive weapon for Tua might be what the doctor ordered for them.
Speaking of what the doctor ordered, Caroline Mathias is on watching. We always want to give her a shout out because she's amazing. Do you think Tua is the guy?
Look, I don't want to say it after 1 year.
Dustin went like this.
I don't know. I think he has a chance. I hate to say it after 1 year that he's not.
He got beat out by Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Hey,
Fitzmagic is amazing.
He does. He beats out a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
I think he's got a chance. I don't know if he'll ever be the superstar that people want him to be, but I think he can be a very good long-term NFL quarterback that could help a team that has a lot of weapons around him win.
I've seen Tua live before, and the TV doesn't give him justice, man. He throws a very catchable ball. It's pretty incredible.
All right. Well, Patrick, you're on the clock. Lions pick.
Detroit Lions. I say we. I'll use the we. I can do that now. The Lions always do something weird. They've taken wide receivers at 7. They're bad. They're a bad football team. They're not going to be very good next year. They have needs almost everywhere. So they could go a lot of different directions. I think it depends on what falls here. Micah Parsons seems to make the most sense. A talented, gifted linebacker who can play all over the field. If Sewell was to fall, I could see that being a pick for them. That would seem there's been a lot of noise about a Slater from Northwestern and other offensive linemen. They're bad on the offensive line. They're bad at wide receiver. If there wasn't just a run on receivers, I'd think maybe that they would take one of those guys. I don't know Smith. I don't think they take Devonta Smith here, but that's a possibility. But I look at Parsons, if he's available, being the guy.
We did talk before we started before the show went live about Jared Goff, and do the Lions do something crazy if Justin Fields is available here? Do they grab him?
Sure, they could do anything crazy. But look, as Jared Goff is still relatively young, and this is a team that is several years away.
Yeah.
I would think that you roll with Jared Goff this year, build up other spots, and then when you're picking second next year, you can take a quarterback.
All right. Dustin, who you got here?
I have Devontae Smith here. He's still on my board. I think you give Jared Goff a safety blanket. You give him somebody to work with. And, if they are at the top of the draft, that could reevaluate the quarterback position next year.
Tim?
Sewell. I think he drops to 7.
Great pick. All right, Carolina is next. And was talk about taking a quarterback, but then they have Sam Darnold, who I'm not sold on. And, what do you do if you're Carolina?
I have Jalen Waddle here. And I think that you obviously I think you need to look at offensive tackle if one of them is falling, because that's the biggest part of Darnold that you couldn't protect him. You've got to give him time in the pocket. You've got to protect him. But he also needs playmakers. And I think Jalen Waddle or something like that you could do quick screens and not have to worry about a quick pass rush. And he can break, a 90-yard catch at any point. That's the kind of player that you need for that offense.
Tim?
All right, so this is going to be controversial. I just think that now's the time. If Fields or Lance is still there, I think the Patriots come up to number 8 and grab one of those guys. If they're not, then I have them taking a cornerback, Caleb Farley, out of Virginia, because that's a need of theirs.
Yeah, Dustin went like this. Is that surprising, Dustin?
There's so much chatter here lately, especially that Farley, and he just failed a COVID test. He's had 2 back surgeries. They don't even know if he's going to be in the first round anymore. But everything within the last week, you can't believe anything. So I mean, it's just it's surprising. There is a cornerback that I like a little bit more. It's J.C. Horn from South Carolina. I think
I had him going down a little bit. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah.
Cool. So Denver, at the next pick at 9? Denver is Justin Fields, if he's there. Because I think for all of you, I think Justin Fields is still there. Mm-hmm. Do they take him?
Yeah, I would think Denver, that it's known they were trying to get Matt Stafford. They want to do something at the quarterback position. I think Fields would be a guy. Again, you look at a team that does have some talent with Cortland Sutton. They have Noah Fant, who's a very good tight end. gosh, and their other receiver, their name escapes me. But this is a team that has some skill guys, that has some explosiveness to their offense. The Vic Fangio is a defensive-minded head coach. So if there's a quarterback available, I see that. If not, they look to the defense side of the ball. J.C. Horn is a guy. Kwity Paye, an edge rusher, would be a guy here in this area. Patrick Surtain. All guys, I think, around this level that if the quarterback's there, Denver takes it. If not, I think they look defense.
Okay, so at 9, who you got, Timmy?
So if the Pats haven't gone up and ruined their day, then they're taking Justin Fields.
I agree with that, and we'll talk about that too. At 10, literally every mock draft I see, Patrick Surtain to the Dallas Cowboys. Do you see anything other? Do you see them? It's Jerry Jones. Do you see anything unpredictable, weird, crazy?
I saw a couple of them that had J.C. Horn going to Dallas at 10.
Yeah. I think it's a lock at 10. Surtain is going to be a Dallas Cowboy unless somebody jumps them to get him. But to go back to 9, I didn't get to say my 9. Trey Lance, my 9, because number 3, I had Justin Fields going, but it's still a quarterback. And I think it's a similar style quarterback.
So Anthony Bergala, world pizza champion up in Glenmont, New York, commented, said, "How about them Cowboys?" Who freaking cares? By the way, his pizza shop is named Romo's, and it is phenomenal. Anthony is a world pizza champion. He's a champion. The Cowboys have not been champions in like 35, 40 years. So, So let's talk about trades. Do you see anything out there? What's your gut tell you? I mean, we can all speculate. We all think the Patriots might try to move up, but is there anybody else that might try to move up or try to move out? Is Carolina one that there's talk about maybe they try and move out? Is there anybody in your mind that tries to move out? That's question number 1. Question number 2, I want to ask, will 5 quarterbacks go in the top 6?
No.
Patrick, you're first.
I would say I don't think 5 quarterbacks go in the top 6.
Okay.
And I think teams that I'm a Lions fan. Detroit would move back for more picks. They don't have a lot of picks in the draft. New regime. I think they would be okay moving back to pick up some picks, so they can move out of 7. Atlanta, I think, might move out of 4, especially if one of those quarterbacks that someone really loves falls. I could see that happening as well. For 5 quarterbacks to go in the top 6, there'd have to be at least 2 trades, because I don't see Atlanta, Cincy, or Miami drafting a quarterback. So there'd have to be a couple trades between those 2 teams.
I'm calling it.
You are? Okay.
I'm calling it. You know what? There's just such a premium on a quality signal caller, and I'm calling it. I'm calling a couple of trades in here because I think there's going to be value for some of these people. And you know what? Look, chicks dig the long ball. Chicks dig quarterbacks. We want to see our team draft a quarterback, right?
Right.
So Dustin, same questions for you. What do you think? Who will back out or move up?
I think there's 3 possibilities. It's Atlanta, I think it's Detroit, and I think it's Carolina. Those are the 3 ones that I think that could trade out. And honestly, it's going to take one of those quarterbacks, one of those 5 that you're talking about, to start dropping for somebody to come up and get it. I don't think somebody's just going to trade to 8 just because. I just don't see it happening.
Right.
Timmy, what do you think?
So I don't think that that many will go in the top 6, but I agree with Dustin, except I'm going to add one, and it's a dark horse that I think that if with the right package, someone could get up to number 5 with the Bengals because, they've got a quarterback. And if you put a first round, a third maybe in a package, you might be able to get up there. Who knows?
Well, speaking of the right package, Patrick, what do you think? Who's going to be the best and worst quarterback of this class?
Look, I think the best quarterback in this class will be Justin Fields. A good athlete, explosive player. I saw him a lot, obviously, being a Michigan fan with Ohio State.
Yeah.
But, I think in the right setting with the right system in place, he could be really good. Really good.
Trevor Lawrence, the biggest bust?
I don't think – I wouldn't say that. No, look, Jacksonville has a history of doing that to people. I think he's really talented.
He's no Mark Brunell.
Yeah. He's what?
He's no Mark Brunell.
No. I think Mark Brunell's his quarterback coach. I could be wrong.
Is he really?
He might be. I'll have to double check on that.
Last successful quarterback probably in Jacksonville. Tim, who do you best and worst of these 5 QBs? What do you think?
I think the worst will be Trevor Lawrence. I think he'll burn out at some point. He may end up a Jet too, just like Burnell did. And Mac Jones, I think he's flying under the radar. I think that someone's going to take a chance on him, and they're going to be proven to be right.
D. Bishop, what do you think?
I think the best is going to be Trey Lance. I think he looks exactly like the womanizer, Deshaun Watson.
That's a clip right there. He's been waiting all show to give us some Britney. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And honestly, I think the worst is going to be probably Zack Wilson. I love his skill set, but he's getting drafted by the Jets, and it's just not going to work out.
I like that. I want to go a little off, not maybe draft stuff, but to both of you, Patrick, Dustin. Patrick, you can go first. What are you reading right now? Anything good? What are you reading? How are you getting better? What are you reading?
How are you getting better? A lot of books on recruiting, and not like college football recruiting.
Right.
A lot of articles on connecting with recruits and connecting with talent. Look, obviously, I think a lot of people, just no matter what, have been following. The labor markets are tough right now, especially for mid-tier hourly workers. So, convincing them, talking to them, communicate with them on their level. Also, younger workers. It's not so much millennials anymore. There's this Gen Z thing now. So,
right.
Learning how to communicate. The company that I work for, I literally have an employee who's 19 and I have one who's 73.
Wow.
So communicating
that's different. That's different spectrums of communicating, isn't it?
So really learning on leadership and management, and those are the things that really are taking up my time when I'm not dealing with that big golf tournament that's coming to Tulsa in May.
At Southern Hills. Dustin, what are you reading or listening to right now? Anything that's making you better?
I'm still listening to some of the Unf Yourself that you've sent me over.
Good book.
So finishing up some Unsliced by Mikey B, and I'm on the third time through of the Little Red Book of Selling right now. So just kind of taking a little bit here and there in little spots.
I find it hard to take you seriously in the jersey today. So sorry.
Hey, this is Brandon Stokely. Brandon Stokely. I figured I'd be the only one in the world wearing a Brandon Stokely jersey today.
True that. Wes is trying to come back. He's having problems today, but there he is. There's Big Sexy.
Does he always just scowl like that?
Yes, he always does.
He's just in and out.
He's trying to end this show so bad.
Well, we'll wrap this up. I want to give you guys the last word on the draft. Dustin, we'll start with you.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be very good for very long. And the reason why is the last time you had an unquestioned number one pick who's a quarterback was Andrew Luck. And, a little bit of adversity happened his way. He's in Jacksonville. And what happened to Andrew Luck when adversity happened? He quit. And I just don't think that a quarterback without a chip on his shoulder, without something that's driving him, is going to drive him for very long. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it.
Patrick, what last word on the draft?
2 pieces. I think if Najee Harris goes to the Steelers, he might be the most fantasy relevant rookie next year. Also, this guy is going to go in the late part of the drafts to playoff teams, and he's a local guy. His name is Zaven Collins.
Yep, I was going to ask about him.
The Saints, Buffalo, someone like that, and he is going to help that team get to the next level.
That's cool. Timmy, what do you think? Last word on the draft. What do you got?
I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is a New England Patriot, and so is Julio Jones. That's it.
And no drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, we're not going to draft one because what's going to happen is by the time we get up there, they're all the ones that we would have wanted are gone.
So it's interesting. Patrick mentioned Zaven Collins, who's a local kid, played in Tulsa, going to be projected first rounder. I have this weird hunch just because, because I see Garoppolo ending up in New England draft night and the Pats taking Zaven Collins because he's their kind of guy that can be all over the field in a lot of different positions. So
I agree.
So, fellas, this has been fun. And I don't know if you guys know, but, by the way, next week on our show, we have the owner of FC Tulsa on, JW. I can't think of his last name. But anyway, owner of FC Tulsa will be on next week. Gentlemen, this has been fun. Thank you for joining us. And as always,